we got to talk more because we had a few other shows over the last 24 hours, and one of them is actually Norway, and that was another interesting show, to say the least. A lot of surprises. So I would actually like to go through that real quick. But first of all, it's been decided. The results are in. They have picked their entrant for Eurovision, and the name of the band is Subwoolfer. They were the favorites all along, before the finale aired even, and they were able to fulfill the expectations, won MGP. The competition, though, they bared their teeth along the way as well. And this has been a long, ongoing national final. They have been whittling down the hopefuls via a very interesting, we're going to talk about it, setup. Long-winded duels, and songs have been eliminated. Ultimately, they brought it down from 4 semis as well as a second chance round, then to the finals, and then they made it through. We had a lineup of 10 songs in the national final. Then the voting opened during the live shows, and then people could vote in Norway, of course, for their favorites. Then there were a slight change in the rules when the usual silver final was skipped entirely this time around, because usually it was the 10 songs would then move on to the top 4, and then from the top 4, 2 will move on to the golden final, the top 2. That has been eliminated. The silver final has been skipped entirely, but we Subwoolfer, Northkid, Sophie, and Elsie, they were announced as the top 4 in the televote, so they were at least announced, but there was no additional voting. They immediately eliminated, though, Sophie and Elsie, and then failed to make the top 2 for that reason. Obviously, that means Northkid and Subwoolfer competed in a head-to-head duel, and just like how it goes, there can only be one winner, and it was Subwoolfer. They are now going to represent Norway at Eurovision, and a lot of talk. There has been a 40,000 vote difference around between the two acts. Let me take a look here. 312,223 for Northkid, 368,106 for Subwoolfer. So Subwoolfer going to tour in Italy for Norway. We got to talk about it. Gabe, the floor is yours. Your thoughts?
I have a confession to make.
Oh, no. I don't like the beginning of this.
I tried so hard to hate this. It is everything.
You failed. You flopped.
It's everything. It should be everything that I despise distilled into one evil little package. But I listened to it before and I enjoyed it. And I don't know what to do about that.
Counseling may help.
I don't want to like it. I don't want to like it.
Why don't you just want to embrace
it?
Oh dear, really?
It wasn't my favorite, but it's so catchy.
Yes.
I just can't. I want to dislike it so much, and I just can't.
They got you. They got you. That's exactly what they do. Like, you can try, but you won't succeed. And if you say you hate it, you're probably lying. Because I feel the same way. I was like, look, it's a fun, what does the fox say? The 22 version of it. And it's fun, but I think it would not do well at Eurovision. I was all about Team Elsie, right? Beautiful song. Oh, I love it to death. It's still my favorite. I will say that.
Same.
That being said, totally get it. Totally get it. And I'm very, very tiptoey and careful when it comes to gimmicky entry. I'm using this slightly because there's a room for interpretation, subjective. What is a gimmick? What is a joke entry? And what is not? People have different interpretations about that. But I do think that this is a lighthearted song where they talk about not to have their grandma eaten, so give the wolf a banana while they're pretending, wearing wolf costumes and not knowing who they are. And there is that aspect to it. But there is this insane catchiness that you just come down. And the studio version is fine to me, right? But when it's live, it's just like, it's going to be a moment at Eurovision. And Yes, is it a polarizing entry? Absolutely. But it's that kind of polarizing where you can really, really grab a lot of support because, once again, this is not Big Brother. You cannot vote against the song. You can only vote for a song. So that will definitely be an advantage when it comes to Norway. And I mean, yes, of course, you want as many people like the song as possible, but I'd rather have a polarizing song than just a meh entry. But you said, Gabe, that Elsie was also technically your favorite in the lineup.
Mm. I thought I had loads like this national final. I thought the final actually it gave us a lot of really different, really interesting things. Elsie was my favorite, and I also my second favorite was a qualifier was Made of Glass. Um, so I really got on the ballad train. And actually, so it was my third favorite, come to think of it, which was Dangerous by Farida. So just loads of ballads. I really like the ballads and the one time I like the ballads, none of them even make it to the, none of the ballads I like even make it to the final two. So um, I guess that's, that's just Norway's way of
Mm-hmm.
personally attacking me. Um, and I'm offended by that. In any case, I thought Elsie was fantastic. I think there's a few artists in here that I'd love to see back again. She is one of them. I think Sophie Fjellvang is another. Maria Mon.
Mm-hmm.
I thought again, fantastic voice. So there's a few here that I could see representing Norway in the future. I mean, I know Ulrika as well wants to come back next year, which will be exciting. So I think there's a lot to look forward to, despite the fact that they're not going this year.
Yeah. And one of the things that people were really shocked about is that Subwoolfer was not battling like Made of Glass or Elsie Song or some of the others, but they actually ended up battling Northkid, that they made it to the final two, to the gold round, and people were shocked and getting really, really nervous. And personally, I was very surprised as well. I don't live in Norway, but I do know that the name is already a spoiler. Northgate, right? They have a huge fan base clearly in their part of the country. When you look at the results coming in as well from the regions, they won the north part by like a landslide. They got 79,000 votes. They're over 79,000 compared to 28,000 for Subwoolfer. So maybe that pushed it through. But people are saying they're also a little bigger in names. But for us outsiders, a lot of them, I know they're always supporters of a song. The vast majority of people were shocked to see that, because I always call it a Norway 2003 reject to me. That's something that would have worked like almost 20 years ago, but then even then with that kind of music, they flopped even 20 years ago. So this would have never ever worked at Eurovision. I just don't think so. I was shocked when they actually made the final two. I did an initial reaction video and I was pretty harsh on that one. I was like, this is not going to be a thing next, And then here they are, second place, almost winning. Nothing against the band. They seem very likable. And what I loved about after Subwoolfer won, they were, first of all, very gracious second runner-ups. I think they were happy that they made it this far, and they were dancing along to the song, and they knew the choreography. Elsie knew the choreography. It's like, I think Norway made the right choice when all the contestants know exactly how the song goes and dance along to it. That is powerful. Were you surprised too?
So I think this is something that people perhaps don't see. You will have seen it having been in the press center for a number of years, and you occasionally get glimpses of it in interviews. The artists in these national finals and at Eurovision actually really get on very well and really like each other and want each other to succeed and are happy for each other. So I thought it just shows that clearly that song has gone down really well with all of the different other participants, and
Mm-hmm.
they sort of got on board with it. I imagine there's a few who hated it, as there is with everything. But yeah, I just think it's really nice to see. Oh, I've lost my thought. It's really nice to see like that kind of like camaraderie and good natured. That's what it's. People seeing what it's really about and just and sort of reveling in it in that way. I think because especially I imagine it's incredibly disappointing, especially like Elsie Bay, who was quite hot. She was quite hotly tipped. I think not making that final two would have been disappointing
Mm-hmm.
for her. Um, But, you know,
Okay.
to then go on and just embrace it in that way, I think is really nice. Like I said, I'm deeply upset that I like it, and I'm really trying not to, but I'm failing at the minute.
Don't try, just accept it. They got you. No, I kind of feel the same way. I was like, well, it's not going to be like on repeat for me, but every time it comes on, it's just like I watch a clip, I'm like, oh, this is so much fun. So it's just that kind of song. And I think it has a lot of that is the biggest appeal about it. And Carl T is asking, do you think Norway will do well with the juries? That is the biggest question because in Norway, I think the national final was 100% televote. So now they have to go to Eurovision, and there will be a little bit more of a hurdle when it comes to that. Do you think it is a hurdle, or do you think the juries will embrace it as well? What are your thoughts?
I don't think the jury is going to love this. It'll pick up some points. It won't like bomb down to the bottom of the field, but it won't pick up many. I think there are a lot of countries that will blank it, and some, you know, well, they'll end up roughly in the middle. Somebody in chat saying it could be another Kano scenario is a very valid point. I think that's about what I'd expect as well.
Yeah, I must say could potentially be more of a Goa situation because I do think they could like get like 10th place with the juries or something left side of the score, but not as high. And then because I think a lot of juries could appreciate just this very, in some ways, daring choice. Because sometimes the juries can surprise us as well. Like that's what they went for, and I could see a certain appeal there as well. So I do think there could be some jury support. Certainly will not go to the top 10. I don't think, or like of the juries, and now watch them. Like it may surprise us, but I feel the same way. What you're just saying, and could be slightly better, like a Goa thing. We don't know yet. We don't know all of the competition, but I don't think they're going to completely destroy it. I do think there will be some love for it. I think it might do better than a little bit than Kino, but we shall see. Do you think, Jose is asking, do you think Norway and Latvia being in the same semi will harm their qualifying chances? Do you think they could steal votes from each other, Gabe?
I mean, put it this way, I had a look today at that semi-final and what's in it so far. I think neither of them are going to have any trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll come on to Slovenia later, for example, but I think, you know, the Citizen's song is much stronger in a similar style, but much stronger. I think it does well on its own memories, not just because it's like, ha ha, you know, they said pussy, that means vagina. Like, you know, the appeal of that song is a bit deeper than that. I also thought, like, there's somebody in chat saying it's too many joke entries this year, and I think that's complete rubbish. No offense, but firstly, I think there's some zany entries or, you know, things that have like silly elements to them. But, you know, this isn't Dust in the Turkey we're talking about here, you know,
You're right.
or Pirates of the Sea. Like, we've come a long way since 2008. Nobody's playing a toy guitar on stage. So,
yes.
You know, I think we need to not. This is the other thing. We should remember to not take ourselves too seriously. This is a song contest. Like,
yes.
We get very angry about it. I go on silly rants because I don't have my priorities right. But, like, chill out and just try to enjoy it is like the first thing, which we sometimes forget.
Yes, exactly. And I agree with what you're saying. And I'm not saying it's a comparison, but we got similar comments like last year. Italy and Finland will kind of cancel each other out because they have like a similar, more like target group. And look at them. One ended up winning the televote, and Finland was fourth? Something, fourth or fifth with it. Well. Yeah. Both of them can do really well. So I don't necessarily think that this will be a hurdle for them either. And we tend to do that with songs that are not mainstream pop, right? We can have all these mainstream pops and no one says, well, they're going to cancel each other out. We always just do that with something less predictable, I guess. So no, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think especially last year in the televote, it has shown us, you know, that unique or like different, it's not a problem. If anything, it has become more of an advantage, I think. So, and I have my opinions about Latvia very much, but I will not, just diss it or dismiss it, I should say, just because, I have my opinions about that song. So, yeah, I agree with that. So one more question here by Jelly. The MGP format doesn't make sense to me. A direct qualifier won for 3 times in a row. The semis are useless. They should go back to the old format with 1 final and 10 songs and the jury. And that came up a lot. I tweeted about that yesterday, and I basically had the same sentiment. Again, they started doing this national, the semifinal thing, this elaborate thing in 2020. So that's the 3rd year now. I can't believe 2020 is now technically like the 3rd year in Eurovision terms. But anyways, the point is, Ulrika was a direct qualifier in 21. Tix and Kaina, who were the finalists, were direct qualifiers. And then in this one, both North Kid and Subwoolfer, as well as Elsie, like 3 of the top 4 were all direct qualifiers. Yet we're going for all these long shows, bringing in the actual semifinalists when at this point we can say that the producers know the better songs, the more popular songs already pre-qualified. Why go for all that show? Some people are saying, well, it is great ratings, so why stop doing it? I guess that makes sense. People are saying, well, it's a great opportunity for new and upcoming artists to get the exposure. I guess you can make a case for that as well, although it could also backfire on, because apparently there are some songwriters who now distance themselves from that because they don't want to be like, oh, I have to go for the semis, but they don't. So that is another thing that's happening. So to me, it would be, I agree with, it just doesn't make sense to have some songs directly to the finals, because the reasoning that the broadcaster is giving us is this whole, well, we just want to make sure that the national final is diverse. I'm like, then don't have semifinals if that's your main goal. You cannot just have, so I find that a very stupid reason to kind of put that out there. So I'm like, either have them all go through the semis or just don't do it. It just seems very unfair, and it seems like a waste of time. And again, yes, ratings, you make a good you make a valid point. You can talk about, giving the people and some exposure, newer folks, but it still seems kind of like it almost backfire in the long run. How do you feel about this, Gabe?
Yeah, I actually agree. If I was Norway, though, I wouldn't screw out the semis. Instead, I would just shamelessly rip off the format of Melfest. Just do exactly the same thing. Like 4 semis, 2 to the final, everyone else, 2 to second chance round, final with however many entries that spits out the other end. If you want to do semifinals in a national final, then take some tips from the people who know most what they're doing, and that is, like it or not, Sweden. So I would just go all out. No direct qualifiers. If you're so confident that those songs are great, then stick them in a semi-final and they can earn their place like everyone else.
Yes, I think that's a very good thing you bring up there, and I completely agree.